Hi. As well as including rules for the sentient armies of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, the original Rogue Trader rulebook also included rules for some of the various flora and fauna that could be encountered throughout the galaxy. And there were even some models made to represent some of these, such as this pair of ambles that I have here, though there were some other creatures for which no models were made and you would have to convert them yourself. And one of these has a name that has survived to this day, and it is the Catachan Devil. And that's this creature, this very large scorpion-like beast, native to the death world of Catachan, and reputed to be so powerful it could rip battle tanks apart with its bare claws. And this, in fact, appeared later on in a creature feature article in White Dwarf magazine, where the illustration given was a bit different to this one. Now, to me, this looks like you were probably supposed to use either giant spider or scorpion parts to create a model if you wanted one. But today, I'm going to use something different to make a version of my own. Normally, I use a lot of plastic art and spare odds and ends for building my scratch-built vehicles, but they're not really right for creating something more organic. So instead, for this project, I'm going to be turning to my stockpile of spare Tyranid pieces. And in particular here, I have gathered a number of the larger scything talon limbs, which I'm going to use to build the legs of the creature. And I also have some of these Carnifex backplates, which I shall align to provide the carapace. Because the Tyranid pieces don't fit directly together, I have built this balsa wood support core, and I am fitting the plastic Tyranid components around that. I use some smaller support pieces to mount the back plates onto, and I do have to trim the back plates slightly. I have to remove this protrusion here on the smooth upper plates, and underneath where I've got the detailed pieces, I'm having to remove part of the inside so that they will fit together like so. Then, as you can see here, I have a wire pin running all the way through the balsa wood core, and my scything talon arms will fit on the end of this to function as the Catachan Devil's legs. Well, here is the body with its legs attached, and you'll see that I've used two different sizes of the scything talons, with larger ones being at the front, since a Catachan Devil is continually growing and adding more segments with extra legs over the course of its life. I figured those near the front are going to be the bigger ones, while the slightly smaller ones are further back. You'll also notice that here I haven't attached any legs to the very front section, even though I have a wire pin in for mounting something here. And that is because this particular Catachan Devil is going to be one of the clawed variants. So this first body segment I need to leave free for some claws. And in addition to the claws, I also have to still do the head and the tail. And now moving to the front end of the Catachan Devil, you can see that I've added the head and the claws as well. And in both cases here, I actually started off just trying to adapt pieces from the Carnifex kit, and they both came out looking rather small. For the claws, I tried using the crushing claws from the Carnifex, so they were really tiny compared to these, because I've gone on to use the scything talon arms to build individual blades of the claws on each side. And then for the head, I just tried widening a Carnifex head with some plastic art and then perhaps putting some armor plates across the top to disguise it, but it looked too small and didn't seem to blend in. So instead, I have cut up some pieces from the top of a trigon head, and that's actually built this front piece here and the two pieces either side, as well as the underneath. And I needed to cut up two spare trigon head plates because I needed the very ends for the bits at the side. The main fangs here, these are the double spines from the tail that I used for this piece on the tail on my model from a trigon. And then I have an extra smaller set of mandibles underneath. And those have actually come from the scything talons used to make these claws. And they are these smaller claws here on the scything talon legs that I just cut off so that I could get the main blades for my claw arms. And then finally, I've just put on a couple of sort of like horn assemblies, which come from extended armor plates from the Tyranid accessory sprue, which I'm not sure if it's still current or not. It's been a while since I've seen those sprues. But now the main assembly of my Catachan Devil is done. But obviously it's full of holes and gaps, and the tail here is clearly just a bit of wire. So now I'm going to have to fill those gaps and build out the tail with milliput. Well, I've now filled in all the gaps on the model with milliput, and this has used up most of my supply. But the body is now a solid piece rather than a large collection of holes, and the tail is something more than just a thin strip of wire curling round above it. So, with the model physically complete, it's now ready to be painted. And here is my painted Catachan Devil, which I've painted using Citadel contrast paints. And you'll see, of course, that I've changed my background from the plain black one to one more befitting of this apex jungle predator. And for more of an idea of just how big I've made this, I will just bring in a few unfortunate Catachans who may have stumbled across the beast in its lair. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this account of my construction of the fearsome beast from the early days of Warhammer 40,000. And please always remember, Cadia may stand, but at least Catachan is still in one piece. Thanks for watching. Bye.